So today I want to talk about language learning burnout, which it's something that has been in my mind for a long time, and it's something that I experienced recently, not only with language learning, but with everything in my life. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about it, sort of as a catharsis, but also just to let you know a few things that I do to get myself out of the burnout and to just feel motivated again to doing absolutely everything. So today we're going to be talking specifically about the truth about burnout, where does it come from, and what to do, what are the steps that you can follow to deal with burnout. But before we dive deeper into this episode, I want to talk to you about the sponsor of today's video, italki. italki has over 130 languages. It is one of my favorite places to go and learn languages. They have an amazing community feature that I highly recommend you check on. My favorite feature of italki is the language learning notebooks, I think it's called, where you can just write down things and get corrections. I found that amazing. And another thing that I absolutely love is that the teachers decide on their own pricing, which is very important to me. And you can have trial lessons starting at $1. If you want to get started with italki, there is a link in the description box down below. I highly recommend you check it out and just book a first lesson, see if you like it, see if you actually enjoy it, and decide whether or not you want to make it part of your language learning routine. Here's the thing about language learning burnout. It doesn't just happen because of language learning. It usually also happens because a lot of things in our life are overwhelming at the same time, right? When we burn out, it's not always just in one area. It's more likely to be in many areas at the same time. So when we feel burnt out, we make the mistake of only looking at language learning as a separate thing. But language learning is part of life. So we want to see at everything in our lives and really honestly see what are the things that are affecting our mood. I have found that there are many reasons why people burn out or feel unmotivated to study and feel like they don't want to do it. Mine is always the same. The reason why I feel motivated, it's always because I am doing things to catch up with everyone and not at my own pace, right? So I'm a very slow person. Like, I'm super slow. I might talk fast, but I'm super slow. It takes me years to understand languages and to learn languages. It takes me days to edit a video, to film a video. It takes me so long to do everything. I'm a genuinely slow person. So I burn out when I try to catch up to everyone and try to do things faster just because I think that that's what I'm supposed to do. I was feeling this in the last few days, so I texted my mom and I was like, I'm just trying to catch up with everyone. I'm so delayed, like late to everything. And my mom was like, your time is the perfect timing, so trust yourself. And I was like, oh, okay, that's actually great advice. It always leads me to burnout, trying to catch up with everyone, trying to learn faster, do things better, and always be bigger, and I have my own way of doing things. I like to do the things that I do very well and not just do them because I have to do them. So yesterday was one of those days where I was feeling like absolutely awful, like terrible. I've actually been feeling like this for like weeks, but I didn't like realize how bad I was feeling until yesterday when I was like, I didn't want to do anything. I was like in an all-time low, and it's been like this for a while. Whenever I feel like this and whenever I finally recognize it, I always ask myself a few questions. Have I rested enough? Meaning, have I had a good night's sleep? I struggle with insomnia. I am a terrible sleeper, if that's a thing. And that's the number one question I ask myself. Have I had a good night's sleep? Have I really rested? The second question is, have I had do nothing time? Meaning, have I had time to just like sit and just like drink my coffee, or just like look outside, or just do nothing, just sit down and generally do nothing, like watch a reality TV show, something that my mind is not thinking, it's just nothing, right? Have I had that time lately? And then the third question is, am I sharing my feelings? Am I sharing my work? Am I sharing my language learning, of course? Am I sharing my life experience with others? Because if I'm not, that means that I'm bottling up all of the feelings of frustration, of feeling inadequate, of feeling sad, and that's only just accumulating inside of me, and that's going to explode. Just asking yourself these three questions. I always ask myself these three questions. Have I rested enough? Have I had do nothing time? And am I sharing my life with others, or am I keeping everything to myself? I think that these questions are not the same for everyone, and some of you might find that your questions might be different, but these are the things that I have found based on myself, right? When I burn out, is because I don't rest, because I try to be overly productive, and because I bottle up my emotions, which is not fun. So lately, this is exactly what's been happening. I've been trying to be busy every day. Even on the weekends, I've been trying to always do something, the hustle, always doing, like, be hyperly productive. And that was like deteriorating my mental health. And also, I was hiding away from actually sharing things here online. And every time I'm not sharing on Instagram, I'm like, there's something wrong with me, because I genuinely love to share. So I'm like, why am I hiding? It's always an interesting question to ask myself. So I feel like we all go through these periods of times where we just like feel unmotivated, and that's normal. But I think that the three reasons why most people, or the three mistakes that always lead us to burnout, are more or less always the same for everyone. The first one, it's based on those three questions that I told you. The first one is that we underestimate rest. We think we're young and we can handle it, and we can stay up until 3 a.m. catching up with work and studies and whatever, and we can't. let's be honest, we're getting older and we can't. We need rest. And the key thing that I want you to understand here is that when you're trying to study, but you're tired and you genuinely don't want to, studying will be a waste of time, honestly. Like, what you genuinely need is to study when you feel great, when you have energy, and when you are in a great mental space, right? It's not going to happen every day, of course, but if you study when you're too tired, that's like it's like it's better not to study, because you're just gonna sit down and just get more frustrated. It's like adding more wood to the fire and just leading faster to burnout. The other mistake that we all make is that we're trying to do everything perfect. And when we do many things at the same time, I believe that it's possible, but it's not possible to do everything perfect, right? There's not such thing as perfect, first of all. And second, we need balance and we need priorities. And this is especially true for language learners. We try to learn 3, 4, 5 languages perfectly. We try to learn 1 hour a day each of the languages. And that just doesn't work, because who has 3 free hours every day to just sit down and learn languages? I wish I did, but I don't, right? So prioritizing the languages that I really, really want to improve in is key, and working on those first, and prioritizing everything in my life, to be honest, right? Prioritizing my work, prioritizing my mental health, prioritizing my relationship, and doing everything in a way that makes sense. Trying to do everything perfectly, meaning trying to learn every language at the same time, trying to, have the best grades and be the best language learner and be the best worker, like always a strive for the best, but understand and have self-compassion, understand that it's not always possible. And last but not least, the last mistake we all make that always, always, always leads to burnout is that we're not giving ourselves time to process the information. That is, when I understood that, it was like, everything makes so much sense now. And it's because we are a generation that we have so much information in our hands, and we think and we truly believe that we always have to be consuming this information. We always have to get in input into our brains. And we do this with languages, of course. That thing of like, whenever you have your hands free, like listen to a podcast, do an audio something, listen to music, like always use every single spare time of your life to learn languages. That's too much information in our brains. But besides that, and I know this is true because a lot of you have told me this, besides that, a lot of you are also getting information about what is the best time management tool, what is, how I can write faster, how I can read faster, and then every single video YouTube that you're watching is like input of information about language learning, about life, about how to be more productive, about how to cook better, how to wash your clothes, how to figure out how the washing machine works because it broke. Not related to personal life at all. But like always getting information, and we're never truly giving ourselves time to process and put things into action, right? And this is the same analogy I always use with language learning. We take all those words and grammar structures and we put them all in a box and then we keep them to ourselves. And we're like, no, this is mine. And we never use them. But it's not until we use them, the language, the time management technique, the planning technique, the productive whatever technique, it's not until we actually use them and put them into practice that we actually understand how it works and that we actually get better at it and that we actually improve. So, honestly, giving yourself time to process. And that is when I like to give myself breaks. I give myself breaks between work to just sit down and be like, understand what I have done. Like after this live stream, I will sit down and be like, okay, what did I say? Did everything that I said make sense? How can I add more into this conversation? How can we, it's just giving yourself time not to judge yourself and question yourself, but to process the information that you're getting into your brain. Every time I have this rule. If I watch a YouTube video where it's like an informative YouTube video, I have to do it right away. If I watch a video about how to edit better videos, I have to edit right away because otherwise I'm never ever gonna put it into practice. And letting ourselves process and letting ourselves really understand the things that we are putting into our brains, right? We're not machines. We cannot just put all in our brains and then like, oh, it's perfect, it's there. We need to process things, right? In life in general, there's always input and output. Okay, so that's very, very important. Always use what you learn. How do we break this cycle of like never resting, always feeling like, like thinking that we need to be hyper productive and trying to do everything at the same time? I'm going to give you some of the tips on how we can correct these mistakes and how we can just do it better for ourselves. So these are actually the things that I did last night to get myself hype up for today. And I have to say they helped a lot. And especially like this morning, I woke up and I still was in a bad mood. But after lunch, it started getting better. So it just be patient with yourself. If you're burnt out right now with language learning and school and work and everything, first of all, look at what are the areas that are stressing you the most. Analyze without judgment and with a lot of self-compassion what is going on. Just look around and be like, okay, maybe I'm trying to work too much and I don't need to, right? What is essential for me to do in my job? Maybe I am, just staying way too late talking to all my friends. And actually, they will understand if I stop talking to them earlier and just go to sleep, right? So think about what are the areas that are, troubling you and making you feel a little bit more stressed and burnt out and what is overwhelming to you. So the first thing that I did yesterday was making sure that I get a good night of sleep last night. So just getting a good night of sleep and not underestimating rest and saying, I need to sleep to be productive. I need to sleep to have energy. To sit down and study, I actually need to sleep and to be well rested. So that's super, super important. So what I did last night was that I actually like a week ago, I actually ordered new pillows on IKEA and they arrived yesterday. So I put my new pillows. I went to bed around 10:30 and I slept until I think I woke up today at around 9:30 a.m., maybe 10. And I just slept like 12 hours. And I did woke up in the middle of the night, but that's not the point. The point is that I slept more than I usually do. And today I just felt way better. Also, the next thing that I would recommend you to do is to take off your to-do list the things that are completely unnecessary, right? Because we write so many things just to check, but when we don't check and the list just goes on and on, it just feels overwhelming. Normally, we overwhelm ourselves. So just look at your list, think about what are the things that are non-important, not essential to your work, to your personal life, to your life in general. So that always helps to clear your to-do list. Also, give yourself time to think. I actually schedule, like I told you, I schedule time to think. I leave on purpose breaks between my work where I will just sit down, like I will just turn down the computer just in silence, like just do nothing. Even today, like normally when I do my makeup or my hair or whatever, I'm always have like a podcast or music or something. And today was like, no, just nothing, silence. And I did my makeup in silence. It was so weird. Yeah, and my last tip is that if you're overwhelmed right now with language learning or with life, just find someone to talk to and share those feelings with them, because that absolutely helps me all the time to just like let it out there and just share what I'm feeling and be like, you know what, right, today is really frustrating for me to talk German and I don't want to do it. Or like I haven't been motivated to study Japanese in the last 3 weeks and I feel guilty about it. So talking with someone else, especially someone who does the same things, that's what I'm so big into language learning communities, because there you can share how you're feeling, and then most of the people will relate to you, and then you feel like, oh, okay, so I'm not alone into this. So, I'm not the only one who feels like frustrated or unmotivated or burnt out or like, I don't want to study today, right? So I'm just talking and sharing it makes it less lonely and just way better. So I know this episode wasn't as focused on language learning as you would want it to be or as I would want it to be, but it's because language learning is a part of life, and burnout it's something that happens when a lot of things in our lives are overwhelming, not just language learning. So I feel that it was important for us to recognize our feelings regarding everything in our lives and not just language learning. Yeah, and I just felt like letting you know that it is overwhelming sometimes to try to do it all. And especially a lot of you are like young adults or on college and you have many things to do. And we're trying to figure out how to have work, life, school, hobbies balance. And it's hard. And it's certainly hard. And it's going to take us a while until we get there. So just know that you're not alone, that we are all figuring it out. Even the YouTube polyglots or YouTube people who are like, I am perfect and I share everything. I'm completely sure that they also have days where they're like, yeah, I don't want to do this. So, so just know that it happens to everyone. Like, I really want you to take one thing away from this. And it is that when you feel bad in general, if it's language learning, if it's work-wise, if it's relationship-wise, if it's whatever, always talk it out with someone, always. Or journal at least, always make sure that you're sharing everything that you're feeling, because first, it makes life just better, you will feel happier, and that's the fastest route to getting your motivation back. And if you don't have anyone to talk about, just send me a DM. And as soon as I can, I will answer you for sure. Thank you so much for watching another episode of the Polyglot podcast. If you watched this far, leave a blue heart in the comments. If you want to see more episodes of this podcast or want to learn how to learn languages the fun and effective way, go here and check it out. Thank you so much for watching as always, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.